I've decided to take a look into the CST-24T that I've had over a year now. I'm not sure exactly how long, but I think it was around April a year ago. And I've done basically only setup, cleaning, a few frets on this guitar. So I want to take a look and see what kind of space I have inside. This has a push-pull on the tone pot, which splits both humbuckers at the same time. And if you've watched my IYV1, as I call it, the IYV 300, this has shielding on the back, and the simulated shielding paint inside. It may or may not be. So it has a push-pull on the tone, splits both of them. The routing is irregular inside. I don't know if the camera will be able to pick that up, but the routing there, they've got the circles where the pots go a little bit deeper. It wasn't flat across the bottom. It could have been possible to put another pot right there in the middle, which I think I could probably do by doing something with that myself at the back. I can scarf that down myself. It's nicely tied up inside with twisty ties, not the plastic tie wraps, or zip ties as some people call them. So black and blue soldered to the side of the wood of the guitar. I'm not sure if that's just something they put a nail there or something to have a ground from the bridge to the pot, so you can keep that one in place and then just play with the blue one. Looks like there's probably a 47 microfarad cap in there. Seems to work pretty good on this guitar if you use it. I rarely do. I might turn it down a tiny little bit sometimes to take off a little bit of the high frequency, but that's about it. This guitar is made in Vietnam, and I think the IYVs are as well. I can't remember for sure, but I think they are. These could be made in the same place as IYV. So I'm going to ponder a little bit as to what I think I want to do. I've noticed that on this guitar, the way the center taps have come out with the Roswell pickups, the shorting of the center taps keeps the screw bobbin live, and the slug is grounded out. As this video moves on, there will be a decision as to how I have decided to go. If I could get that third knob right between these other two, I think that would still look pretty good and fairly natural, and that would give me the option of doing the addition and keeping everything, and not thinking about maybe just doing volume and doing the push-pull on the neck one like I did on the monoprice to get a tone to be maintained on the bridge, which is usually the harsher pickup. I like how that looks. I've decided to give it a go with the 3 pots, and I've marked out exactly where I need to drill the hole. And because this is an arch top, these holes are sort of on a slant, so they have to be drilled in at an angle perpendicular to the slope. And we're going to need to do some woodworking on the back side as well. It's very, very difficult to see that in there, but the thickness of the wood needs to be taken down in order for the pot to be able to come through here. This is a very thin veneer on the top of this guitar, and they've got the mahogany shaved right down, so it's about a 1/16 of an inch cap on the top of this thing. It's very pretty. And so after all this time, I'm going to do this. I'm going to use the same general circuit that I did on the Ivy 300, and I'm going to make one little change, and that's here. When I split the bridge, I'm going to put in the Lindy Fralin mod, and in this case I'm going to I think use a 2.2K. I am going to test this to see if it's the right value. I think it should be around that based on what I'm hearing right now. On the bridge, when you full split it, it gets kind of a little bit tinny. The volume drops a little bit too much for my liking, so by putting in the 2.2K, I'm going to try to keep the volume up and keep the other half of this slug bobbin working a little bit to help it out. And that's the way I think I'm going with this one right now. It'll be a common tone for both the neck volume and the bridge volume, as I did before. I do need to unsolder all of the components. Well, all of the components, there's two. This push-pull, and take out this volume pot and replace them. But first I have to unsolder everything so I can rewire it all the way I want it to be. I am not going to show all the work for cleaning that out, because I mean it's just unsoldering. Now that the back end is cleaned out, I'm just going to put these wires aside, and I need to make a pilot hole from the top side to the back where I want the pot to go, which is exactly halfway between the two that are there. So this has to be done extremely carefully. What I have is a nice brand new sharp little finishing nail that I normally use to do this kind of stuff, because I don't want to, you know, destroy all of the finish on the top, so it has to be done gently. The final size of these holes are a 5/16, which I have to get up to, so I have to start from something like a 16th or an 1/8, and then work the back part of it, and then try to work it so that it gets up to be a nice hole like this. So what I'm going to do is just give myself a little starter. Like I said, this is on the slope, so it's got to be drilled at an angle. So I'm just going to give it a tap just to break the surface. Like that. May not be enough. We will see. All right. We're going to go real slow. I didn't show anything like this on the last video. Okay, I see wood. Check my angle. Looking decent. And we're through. And we're through. Let's see what it looks like from the back. Yep, that's real close to that post. I think this 5/8 is going to pass it. It does. Now let's look at 5/8 in comparison to this. You know, it might just luck out and sit in that hole exactly where I want it to be. That depth. It goes right across the width of the bottom of that pot. But scarfing off a piece of the post here is not an issue. It looks like they've cut a piece off on the corner there. I could put a little chisel mark in there. Alright, so that's where I'm going. Alright, I think that might do. Now I need to be able to see. Stand by while I clean this out. Ready with the spade bit. So I want this to bite very slowly and gently. Got to have a little bit of discretion. Got to try to just use some determination as to how far to go. I just want to take a look and see what it looks like on the other side. Okay. I can't see what's happening under the tape, but it feels like the clear coat has chipped up a little bit. Okay. It has. But it's okay because the hole is still smaller than what I'm going to need in the end. Right, the other side's still feeling okay. I'm going to try just a tiny bit more. I'm hardly putting any pressure on this. And it needs to be a little bit more off here on the bottom end and up there at the top. So I'm just going to try to angle it a little bit to try to catch that. And try to get it as flat as possible. Alright, so I've put 2 layers of tape over the hole. I'm just going to scarf out the thin edge at the bottom of the cone a little bit with this reamer. can hear maybe the chipping of the poly just a little bit. Not sure if the camera can hear that. Let's see what the bottom looks like. Alright, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. There's a bit of a bump there. I think I'm going to use the chisel just to force it off like I did over here, just to get that a little bit flattened. And I'm going to put my wedge back under there to give me a little bit of a place to go. And my rag, because my switch is still in there. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on the switch to break the arm. So now what I'm going to do is use smaller drill bits than the actual final size, just gently to get the hole enlarged. A little bit at a time. And that is pretty good. Yeah, I think that's fine. That was 17/64. You have to hold back the weight of the drill. This is how you work when you don't have a bunch of fancy pants, you know, big workshops like some people do. But you can make do and get stuff done with some basic tools and a little bit of patience. Okay, it's through now. There you go. Don't know if I'm going to go the 9/64. I think I will. One step up. Just want to hold this drill weight. And I'm not getting, I'm putting too much pressure on this side. Let me see what I can do about that. Stop that from rocking, because I need to use my arm here as sort of a leverage to hold this weight back. It's through. Does that fit? Okay, it goes in the hole. It doesn't necessarily have to be a full 5/16. Good news. I was able to get that 6 millimeter in there securely. and it fits well in the back also. If I can just get the light. So that part of the trials and tribulation is over. I just had to scarf a little bit more with the smaller chisel, and a little bit of cleanup with an X-Acto around the edges, persuader. No, I didn't use that at the end, only at the beginning. So that now has to come out. I will need to provision, that's going to be the bridge, yes, so I have to provision that part with this Fralin mod. I'm going to put a 1K resistor on the center tap to ground. I checked it out with the 2.2 and a 4.7, and turns out that I think from what I'm hearing, I like the 1K better. Okay, I have to switch benches and go work on these pots and put the provisioning wiring and grounding and stuff on those. Then I'll move the guitar over to the other bench where the soldering iron has more space. We have success. Neck, bridge, common tone. I also ended up putting treble bleeds on both of these. And that's the way it looks. Pretty much the same amount of wire as there was to begin with. I just didn't have enough to do the connection between the tone and the output switch, so I had to install an additional piece of braid that I had available. So the only thing we need to do now is put the cover on. Oh, and it looks really nice with the 3 knobs in the front. I really like that. Put the covers on and make sure everything is as it's supposed to be. The pudding is in the proof. Guess I could take those off now. So I'm pretty happy. That turned out the way I wanted it to. With both volumes up and the tone all the way up, it's exactly the way it was when I received it. It's got definitely 3 different voicings with the switch and the tone works in the bridge position. Works in the neck position. Pull the neck. Thins out. I did not put any Lindy Fralin resistor in this one because it's already a little bit brighter there, full humbucker, and I wanted it to be thinner as an option, so I put the taps right to ground. And so the independent volumes work as advertised. So now with the pulled out, it still has 3 different voicings. Which I didn't have before. Except when I pulled them and they were both full up. Now what I can do is roll one back. Keep one humbucker in. So I can be split here, not split there. Just by playing a little bit with that volume, the guitar itself can create many different tonal qualities, which is what I wanted. So I didn't show any of the wiring for this one because I showed so much of it in the last video, and soldering is now soldering. I hope if anybody watched the last video and now this video, you know that being able to do things like this on your own guitar is possible with a few basic tools. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.